So your next tool is your slip groove pliers, and there's some different names for it, and I just messed it up, and I'm sorry about that. But basically, it's just a tool that all you need to do is, when you're taking your baseboards off, you grab the nail, and then you pry. Sorry, I don't know if I can show you this, and I do show how to do this. You grab the nail, and you just pry it off your wall, and that pulls it out so that you can put your tile baseboards up, or if you want to reinstall your baseboards. And that's what that is used for. We talked about 6-in-1 tool. Another one you could use is just a pry bar. And if you have this, you could actually use it as opposed to the 6-in-1 tool. I still far prefer the 6-in-1 to this. This is a lot thicker, harder to get underneath the tile if you need to pull it up, that sort of thing. But this does work well for pulling things apart and for various reasons. And there could be a few for that. So that's your wrecking bar, pry bar, however you want to say it. Here is what's called a speed square, a small version of that big square that we saw. And what it does, it allows you to make a mark on a tile, in this case a tile, really quickly, efficiently. And you just don't have a tile with me, but if this was a tile, you would just butt it on the edge, on your mark, and then mark a line up it. So then you know exactly where to cut if you're cutting on the wet tile saw or the angle grinder, and that's what it's for, just to speed things up. Once again, non-essential, but it does work well. Here's another version of the trowel for mixing. So if you're doing hand mixing, this works a little bit better than the long one, but it's another tool to buy. So if you don't need to buy this, it's just an easier way to mix. So now we're going to get into how to make mixing even faster. Now you get into the big boys. This one here is, once again, I got it at a garage sale, and it has worked wonders for me. It is a beast and a half. It's a Black & Decker from I don't know when, and it's really worked well for me. It's got a lot of torque, a lot of power where it needs it, because when you're mixing mortar, especially, you're mixing quite a full bucket, and there's a lot of pressure behind there, a lot of friction that this thing has to go through, and this thing can break through fine. You don't want to use a smaller, like 3/8 drill too much. If you do, you can do it, which is what your regular drills are. Most people have like a 3/8 drill, but you want to go like 1/2 inch and up if possible. If you're going to go out and buy something for this, you want a 1/2 inch. And that just means how big the chuck is, which usually represents how much power it has. So if you just tell the salesman what you need it for, then they'll make sure they'll direct you to something bigger. So all you do is you stick your paddle in, which you also buy. You can use a paint mixer or one like this. They're kind of the same, hard to tell the difference. They're really, as long as it mixes, that's what you need. So you'd stick that in, plug it in, and then we show you how to mix with this, as well as mixing by hand. But this speeds things up a lot. If there is a tool that you're thinking, I have a little bit of money that I can put aside for something, this would be the one. Mixing is a very tedious, very hard job. Used to do it by hand at the start. Once again, it worked, did it, but man, did this ever speed things up and make it easier once you got into the power. It really does a good job. It does make the mortar a bit more consistent as well, because you're not relying on hoping that you got everything. So that is the tool to buy if you're going to spend a little bit more. Now, what some people prefer, as opposed to chalk lines, a lot of people use chalk line as well as this, but some guys really swear by this type of tool here, which is a laser line. I won't turn it on because it'll cast a red line. Actually, I could turn it on to me. There we go. So you can see that what it does is it gives you a straight line. So as opposed to snapping a chalk line, you set this up and make sure you have it somewhere where you won't trip over it or anything, and then you just follow this red line when you're laying your tile. We talk about how to do that, and the good part about this is that you can't mud over this. No matter how many layers of mud you do, you can't accidentally put too much mud over it, whereas with the chalk line you can. You could put some mortar down and cover it up, and then it's hard to find and that sort of thing. So that's the benefit of this. Disadvantage is if you do happen to bump it, or if you have a cat, or somebody's running around or something like that, and they just accidentally bump it. It takes a little while to make sure you get it straight again. It's a bit of a pain that way, but a lot of guys swear by it, and it works well for them. So that's another thing you can use. Many different styles. This is one of them, and that's what that is for. And that's about it for the extra tiles or extra tools that you might want to buy if If it works out for you, that's up to you. Some of them are a little bit more money than others, but go with what works for you.